Hi, I'm Laura Mignot, CEO of the experience agency D-Flash, and also the host of the Reset podcast. I'm so excited to be speaking here at the 3% conference for the first time ever. Thanks, Kat Gordon. And I'm going to talk to you about the 7 people who can actually help build your brand in a whole new way for the moment we're in right now. So before I get into that whole amazing story, I want to give you a little bit of background about me. So I'm CEO of D-Flash, and pre-COVID, we would call ourselves an experience communications agency because we design experiences to make people feel welcome. And over the last 10 years, we've built over 600 events for brands you've all heard of, like Netflix, Samsung, Amazon, Bose, a whole host of others, and everything from the most amazing things at Cannes Lions to private dinners, summits, conferences, you name it, we build it. And for us, we've always thought of this really simple premise: welcome home. Everything we design should be welcoming when you walk through the doors and at home when you're in the experience, whether it be online or offline. And so now in a post-COVID world, obviously we've switched to virtual and building some of the really most incredible online experiences over the last several months. But what I'm here to talk to you today about is a product that we developed internally. Because, if you want something done, do it yourself. And so it's the Culture Boards. So why did we build this amazing program called the Culture Boards? Well, it starts with a little history. So last few years, I've seen so many of these brand faux pas where there's the Gucci sweater with the offensive over-the-top red lip. There's the Dior Sauvage cologne. There's the Nike sneaker that was related to white supremacists. And for me, I kept saying this and saying, what is going on? Why can no one do a Google internally? Who are they not listening to? And it all kind of crystallized for me when last year, our agency was the executive producer of the Inkwell Beach Cannes experience, which was the very first 5-day diversity, inclusion, equity experience to Cannes Lions that focused on the work being done, not the color of your skin, your gender, your age, where you come from, but just on the work that you do. And actually, if you invite those people to come to something and have them talk about how awesome they are, guess what? You get a very diverse group. And I was watching some of those amazing speakers, and I kept thinking to myself, if brands could only hear these folks talk, who were senior leaders at brands, agencies, academics, and listen to them, they'd actually be on the right path to understanding what it actually means to actually have culturally literate conversations and programs. And so the germ of the idea for Culture Boards was born. And so over the course next few months, started workshopping with a few friends and colleagues, and really came up with what I thought was something that made sense, that was tangible, but also necessary for our business, the business that we all know and we all love. Look, if we didn't want to be in this business, we'd be working somewhere else. The creative field is what fuels me, and it fuels you as you're all sitting out there watching this from home right now. But if we were all in a stadium or a conference room right now, we'd be all amped up about the work that we do that we love. And so why not make this better? And it's why Culture Boards was born. And so what is it? It's pretty simple. There's no one better to help you figure out how to curate a roster of really incredible people than yours truly. Remember that 600 events over the last 10 years? It also comes to the fact that we knew how to always figure out the right sauce of people on our stage, but also in our audience. And yes, it was always diverse, not because we were a multicultural shop, which we're not classified as. I just happen to be a really awesome Black woman who runs a really awesome agency. And if you design from diversity in mind from day one, then you have a diverse company. Bingo, full stop. And so what if you got those same people who used to come to our events, speak on our panels, and actually ask them to be members of boards of directors for companies? And so that's basically what Culture Boards is. So it's 7 people we curate for a brand after doing a proper assessment and figuring out what that actually means in terms of what they want to need and hear. And then having those folks review, comment, and help strategize those programs. And it could be, an insurance policy, if you will, that wouldn't you rather have people who are super senior, who actually reflect the culture, take a look at what you're doing and have it pass the smell test versus you tweet something and then it's a disaster? And if you don't think it's a disaster, then go check out these stats. Basically, it's a 20,000 tweet rule. At 20,000 tweets, brands have either canceled the tweet, deleted the tweet, or apologized the tweet because it was offensive, because the program was ill thought out, or it was a bad idea that went horribly, horribly wrong, that could have been solved with a cursory Google search, or they realized they were being insensitive because someone finally stood up in the organization and said something. And that's millions of dollars. If you're Nike and you kill a sneaker that's about to hit the market, it's millions of dollars in agency fees, production fees, and discarding of thousands of sneakers somewhere because you can't have those in the market. What's it worth to you to have 7 people review that before it actually gets built so that doesn't actually happen? That's the premise of culture boards. And, we sort of soft launched this in January and had gotten really lots of great feedback and ideas about how to even make this even bigger. And we were moving towards a really awesome launch at South by Southwest. And we all know what happened in March. And so what do we do when you have a pandemic? Well, you stop, you listen, you learn, and then you act. And so for us, we said, let's take a look at what the world is going to look like in a few months before we go full bore with culture boards. But then June happened. And we realized that if I saw one more brand put up another lame black square, I was going to scream. And I was like, this cannot be the case. Brands really are not just sitting here in 2020s talking about how they want to support Black lives, but then the only Black people who work in their organizations are in reception, and they have no idea why. Or they want to write a check because that's performative allyship and hope this all blows over in a couple of months. Well, first things first. This is a movement, not a moment. So brands, the idea that this will go away is not going to happen. This conversation, this action is only going to get larger and move forward. And the only way you're going to be successful at it is if you actually take some time to build campaigns and programs and take meaningful and lasting action that enables you to actually be at the forefront of this conversation and not just hoping it'll go away. And some brands are already doing this. NASCAR got rid of the Confederate flag. Think about this. NASCAR said, even though our fan base might be largely white, we're going to stand behind our Black driver and get rid of the Confederate flag. What was the response? New fans, higher ratings, and new conversations in a way where they were one of the first more effective sports leagues. The NASCAR Association was faster to talk about Black Lives Matter than the NFL, where 90% of the athletes are Black men. So that's them listening, learning, and taking a meaningful action. Who else has been good at this? Ben & Jerry's. Well, Ben & Jerry's has been down for the cause from the beginning. And so we're not surprised that they're at the forefront, to calling for defunding of the police, calling for real, meaningful, lasting change, and backing up that action with real dollars. So every brand can't be NASCAR, can't be Ben & Jerry's. What do? Well, the culture boards, the way that we see it is that we have to help you figure out how to take that next meaningful and lasting action. So what does that look like? Well, if you're a brand and you're a bank, you may have historically redlined. It has happened. It's documented. There's data to support it. How about you create a first-time homebuyer program that enables you to then go into the same communities that you may have redlined and help people get home for the very first time? What happens if you do that? 3 things. 1, that family that you now got a mortgage for, everyone in that family will love your bank forever, and so will always use that bank. So your customer acquisition costs go down. 2, everyone knows the 10-to-1 rule. For every $1 of goodness that you do and good press, you get $10 more of it. So if you make this investment everyone will give you a gold star. And that's what everyone wants. But more importantly, 3, generational wealth. If you actually are now giving a family an opportunity to actually go and have some home security, guess what that person is going to do? Start a small business, invest in a small business in their community, and begin to build a real generation of people who actually have jobs that they love and cherish. Isn't that better than writing a one-time check and hoping this will go away? Of course it is. But also, it's meaningful, it's lasting, there's true action behind it. So how can we help you do this? Well, for us, we understand that your house may be on fire, and so you can't talk about your neighbors. You've got to think about what's happening internally. What can you do internally right now? We come up with an assessment and help you figure out what exactly you could do. What are your internal widgets that you could actually take today, rejigger, and actually put them forward for good? Because it's not about like creating a minority business program way over here and not supporting it. It's about, we already know you're doing these programs. Let's reallocate those resources in smart and meaningful ways. Because this cannot just be, I hope this goes away, let me write a small check. What this has to be is that I want to be a part of the solution and not part of the problem going forward. So for our challenge to you brands today is, come talk to us. Let's have a conversation about culture boards. For us, we're doing this not just because it's the right thing to do, because there's been no better time when everyone's listening and we're all a part of this conversation that enables us to say, you know what? How can I listen to people who cut across every smash of diversity? Because it's not just age, race, gender identity, it's neurodiversity, it's accessibility, it's location. All of those aspects are so key when it comes to figuring out what diversity really looks like, and having those folks in the room who can shake the table, who can make the comments that you will actually respect. Because it's not about getting an influencer or someone you hope is kind of cool and they'll tell you what's hot. It's about business people who understand what P&Ls mean and what the dollar means and what the impact will be if you spend dollars here versus there. That's who makes up our culture board. So as I said, academics, business people, brand folks, agency folks, you name it. Our roster right now consists of well over 500 people. It enables us in a really awesome and effective way to get to the heart of the matter with the heart of the people who can do the best possible work. So my hope for you all is that you'll say hi by emails in the bottom of this. But more importantly, let's have this conversation. Let's actually talk about what needs to actually happen right now to be smart, to listen, to learn, and to make meaningful action. Because we know when you do this, brands, when you do this agency, because this is not just for brands, agencies, you are more than happy to have culture board too. Because having an outside impact is what we need. You all are all accustomed to talking to consultants, right? So same difference, just they're hella diverse and hella senior. What a difference seniority makes. And the folks that you'll actually listen to because you're actually paying them. That's the key. So I do hope that giving us a little synopsis of what Culture Boards is about spurs to some conversation and hopefully some action. So with that, you can find me everywhere on the internet. But I'm very thankful for the 3% team for having me give a little chat about what Culture Boards is. If you've got questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks again.